Howdy y'all, and welcome. Hope everybody's doing well out there so far, and hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend as well. I know it's been a very active one with a lot of tornadoes down in Texas, Missouri, and Kentucky within the past few days, and it's looking like yet another active weather pattern is going to be in store today, as an enhanced risk has been issued down in Texas with a slight risk which extends all the way up into Colorado on down into Louisiana, and there's also some marginal risks up here in Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin, and up here by Oregon, Idaho, and Montana as well. All hazards are going to be possible today with a low end threat for tornadoes. Now, keep in mind, significant tornadoes can happen on low end days, so make sure you're hyper weather aware and you know where to go when that tornado warning gets issued for your location. This enhanced risk is mainly driven by a high wind threat, as there is a 30% hatched area for that within the enhanced risk zone. And of course, the yellow, you're under the 15%, and within the brown zones, you're under the 5% chance for that. And it's looking like there's also going to be a large hail threat, as there's a 15% hatched area down here in Texas, and there is no hail threat up in the Northwest, but there is one by Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin. So make sure you put up anything you don't want damage from large hail or blowing around from high winds today, and make sure that you are aware of tornadoes, as that is a low wind threat, but again, significant tornadoes can happen on low wind days. As we move off into hump day, there is another threat for severe weather, as there's a slight risk over here in the central half of the country. Now, there is no tornado threat, which is good, but there is a high wind and a large hail threat, which is a 15% chance within the entire slight risk zone. So again, make sure you put up anything you don't want damage from large hail or blowing around from high winds, and be aware of power outages as well. As we move off into Thursday, there's a slight risk for severe weather. Now, we do not know what the main hazards will be just yet, but make sure you stay tuned to my X and Facebook pages, as I do daily weather updates on there, and I will keep you all informed when the Storm Protection Center issues those hazards. Now, other than severe weather, there will be some major flooding going on, as there is a moderate risk for that today over here in Texas. There's a marginal risk on hump day and a slight risk on Thursday. So make sure if you live in a flood-prone area or aware of this, and you see a flooded roadway, you turn around and you do not drown out. Let's go and take how much rainfall you could be getting in on, as it's looking like within the moderate risk zone for flooding, you could be coming in on right around 2 to 4 inches, with locally higher amounts possible. And of course, within the marginal and slight risk, I would expect right around 1 to 2, with again locally higher amounts possible. So again, please be aware of flooded roadways and turn around and do not drown. Of course, I forgot to mention, if you're watching this at a future date, you can fast forward the video at any time you want to. Let's go ahead and get into the timing when y'all could expect the worst of the severe weather for the next few days. Take a look at this. We're going to take a look at the HRRR model. We're going to zoom in here. Keep in mind the date and times up here if you ever want to keep track. As you can see, there's already thunderstorm warnings issued, as it's looking like the first round is going to occur through the late morning into early afternoon hours. Then the western half of the enhanced risk zone, it looks like the severe weather is going to start to ramp up through the late evening into possibly the overnight hours. So it's looking like a nocturnal threat for tornadoes is going to be possible. So again, make sure you're hyper weather aware and know where to go when the tornado warning gets issued for your location. Now, we know that this enhanced risk is mainly driven by high winds. And as we backtrack to right around 8 o'clock, this is when I would expect the most intense severe weather to occur. Looking like y'all could be coming in on right around 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, with some areas getting in on right around 50 to 60. This will cause power outages, so be aware of this. And if you have anything you don't want blowing around out there, make sure you put that up as well. Lastly, let's take a look at the significant tornadic parameters. This shows us where the most favorable ingredients for tornadic activity is. That doesn't mean a tornado is going to happen within a certain area. It just means that the ingredients are favorable for a tornado occurring within that area. We can see right around 9 o'clock when some severe is going to start to roll through. Right around a 0.6, 0.7 out of 10, 1.5 in some areas. So definitely be aware of tornadoes today again. I know I've already mentioned it a lot. It has been an active month for tornadoes. Now let's go ahead and push off into hump day, since we already know the timing for today, which is basically going to be late evening into overnight hours. Now keep in mind, tomorrow the slight risk is mainly going to be driven by high winds and large hail. And it's looking like the worst of severe weather on hump day is going to be occurring through the late evening into overnight hours again. So be aware of power outages and make sure you put the cars up. If you have a carport or anything you want them to be put under. We could be coming in on right around 30 to 60 mile an hour winds within the slight risk zone. I wouldn't be surprised if they up the risk to probably an enhanced risk due to the wind threat. But again, next couple of days, make sure you're aware of high winds and large hail and tornadoes today, as it's looking like a nocturnal tornadic threat is looking likely. Now, to take a look at the timing for the rest of the severe weather on Thursday, we're going to take a look at the weather bell models. To take a look at the lightning flash density rate, this shows us where the most intense storms could fire up at. And they push this to Thursday. See that this is going to be a potentially late afternoon into early evening event, according to the Euro lightning flash density rate, before it starts tapering off through the overnight hours. As we take a look at the surface cape, this shows us basically the thunderstorm fuel is basically what this is. And it's looking like there could be a lot of fuel out there, right around 1,200 joules per kilogram on Thursday morning, ramping up to right around 2,500 through the early afternoon hours. That's when the storm's going to start to ramp up. Take a look at the significant tornadic parameters. We can see that really low end tornado threat I would expect on Thursday, but I will keep y'all updated on X and Facebook as to when the Storm Prediction Center issues those hazards. And I want to show y'all the wording. The Storm Prediction Center here, they're showing us that it's going to be an afternoon through Thursday night event because it's a big risk area. So definitely next couple days, make sure you're aware of high winds and large hail. And you are hyper weather aware today, as it's looking like a nocturnal tornadic threat is looking likely. And make sure you have any friends and family that are not hyper weather aware because they don't watch the mainstream media no more, that they go follow your local National Weather Service pages on social media. Make sure that they are hyper weather aware. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what we could expect for the next couple weeks. As I did mention, and y'all probably saw in the thumbnail, that we could be coming in on a downtrend as far as severe weather goes, which is good. Now to take a look at this, we'll have to take a look at the simulated radar here on the GFS. We already know we got severe weather for the next 3 days, which is mainly going to be a nocturnal tornado threat on Tuesday, with the late evening and possibly overnight event on Wednesday, which is mainly driven by high winds and large hail. And on Thursday, it's looking like could be an early afternoon into possibly a late evening event. Then after that, we could be coming in on some severe weather down by Oklahoma and Arkansas again, with some chilly air amongst the eastern half of the country indicated on this little trough here. And after that, it's looking like we're going to be coming into a major soggy pattern as we head into June amongst the eastern half of the country, while the western half is going to start to dry out a little bit. And we're going to remain in this pattern for quite some time, with even more sogginess going up in the northwest, with some snow showers occurring as well. And even more severe weather is looking likely down by Missouri as we head into June 4th. Now, keep in mind this is well over 200 hours out. Potentially won't even happen. It's looking like some soggy conditions regardless is going to be in store amongst the eastern half of the country. As we take a look at the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook by the Climate Prediction Center, we can see that the eastern half of the country is going to be in a very soggy pattern with above average precipitation expected, while the western half is going to be below average except for from California up into Washington and down by Alaska. Take a look at the next 8 to 14 days as we head into June. See, just about the same story with above average precipitation expected from Arizona on over into Georgia, on up in the northeast, as well as California up into Washington, and down by Alaska with a below average precipitation expected from Illinois up into Montana. Definitely going to be a soggy weather pattern moving forward amongst the eastern half of the country, which is actually good for those crops, by the way. Now, let's go and take a look at what kind of temperatures we could be coming in on, as we are going to be coming into a very soggy start to June. Now, it's looking like some very hot temperatures are going to be in store today, but then it's going to start to cool way down as we head into June amongst the eastern half of the country, but it's starting to warm up amongst the western half, though. As we can see, and this could suppress some severe weather with some chilly air going on out east. But then don't worry, though, if you don't like the chilly air, looking like some very hot temperatures are going to make a comeback. And according to the Climate Prediction Center, they are showing us that way above average temperatures is expected out west, while some near normal to below average temperatures is expected out east. Below average temperatures is expected up by Alaska, and above average is expected by Hawaii. Take a look at the next 8 to 14 days. Looks just about the same, so prepare for some below average temperatures out here below amongst the eastern part of the country, as we could be coming in on some very chilly air, but this will mean that we could be seeing a downtrend in severe weather. So cool and soggy out east, and sort of hot and dry out west. And with hurricane season coming up, let's go and take a look at whether or not there's any tropical storms or hurricanes forming out there. And it's looking like we don't got any going on out in the Pacific or the Atlantic, so that's good news. And while we're at it, let's go and take a look at the simulated radar for hurricanes. If there's anything going to be forming within the next couple weeks. Now, we already know there's not anything out there according to the National Hurricane Center, but we got a little low pressure system out there, but it's not really going to turn into much. It's not looking like much is going to be forming out there at all, though, so that's very, very good news. But if you haven't checked out my Hurricane Outlook video, please go check that out, as it's looking like a very active hurricane season is going to be in store. So if you like today's forecast, make sure you hit that like and share button so more folks are informed about the weather. Subscribe with bell notifications turned on so you never miss an upload, because here at Everyone's Weather, we try to make weather forecasting fun and informative. If you got any feedback for me, leave it in the comment section down below the video, as feedback helps provide you, the viewer, better and more informative content in the future. And I will have a June Outlook video up in the next video, probably on Thursday, so make sure you go check that out, as it's looking like June could be a very soggy and sort of cool month. So again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, never stop forecasting.